Yes, we just saw another preseason game. This time around, we played in Japan, and the Japanese fans must be having a lot of fun right now because in the preseason game we played before this one, which was in Hong Kong, we couldn't get a win. In fact, we actually got thrashed over there by AC Milan. So this time around, we went and we got that well deserved win. I'm going to maintain the same energy I maintained when we got a loss. I said that preseason is a game of no consequence, meaning that when you win or you lose, it doesn't really say much about how you are going to perform in the upcoming season. Well, here we are today as the winners, and I'm standing on that same word. It doesn't say much about how we will perform next season, but I like the feel good vibe that comes from winning a football game, even if the game is an inconsequential game like this particular one. So we came out the winners. We also had over 67,000 fans in attendance over there in Japan. So if you pay attention, you notice that these Asian fans are not messing around when it comes to Liverpool. In the first game, we had a lot of attendance, almost 50,000. Now, for this particular one that we played in Japan, we had over 67,000 people in attendance. And this is despite the fact that there have been warning coming up just recently about a hurricane in that part of the world. Yet they came up and they came out fully to support the fans. Now, they were not just there in attendance only, but they were making noise, they were screaming, they were giving huge support for everyone in the team, both the new ones, the old players, and even the young lads in the team. So this is exactly what you want to see from a preseason game, and the fans were fully active for the whole of it. Now, down to the game itself. For the first half of the game, we got to see our new signing put on the Liverpool shirt in a game for the very first time, talking about Hugo Ekitike. Now, I understand that all the new signings we've made, they've not really played a competitive game for us. But as far as preseason games are concerned, this is the very first appearance for Hugo. And you could see how excited he was to play for the Reds. Of course, he did not get a goal, but it's just for 45 minutes. And based on what we saw in the previous game, many people out there, especially the rival fans, came out to show statistics, which they used to say that Wirtz is going to underperform in Liverpool, he's going to mess up in the Premier League. We know those things are going to come out. So even if it ends up coming out after this performance from Ekitike, I don't think anyone is supposed to worry too much about that. We all know, even those that are going to make caricature of it, understand that this is preseason. They know that this is his first game for the club. So I'm not going to dwell on that. Now, let's talk about the game. In the first half of the game, we actually saw a lineup that it seems like that is the strongest lineup we've pushed out since the beginning of preseason, because as you all know it, these preseason games we've been playing is basically a game of two halves in a real sense. Like the first half, we usually have 11 players play. Then for the second half, a completely different 11 players come into play. The midfield we played today is basically the strongest midfield we've put up in preseason. We had Gravenberch there, we had Soboslai there, and we have Wirtz in that midfield. Then in the attacking line, we had Salah, Gakpo, and even Ekitike. Then in the back line too, this is the very first game of preseason that Van Dijk and Konate, our two major and only fit centre backs, have played together in this preseason. So I don't think it's an overstatement to say that this is our strongest lineup that we've played in any half of the preseason. Interestingly, we ended up not scoring any goal in that half of the game because football can just be funny and crazy at the same time. So for a game that had a total of 4 goals, the first half was basically goalless. Now you can imagine what happened in the second half of the game, because that is where the whole chaos unfolded, and it started with Liverpool conceding the very first goal. Yes, we conceded the first goal. This is not something to worry about at the moment, but if it was in a competitive game, we will surely be worried about it. And it kind of circled back to the same thing we've been talking about since recent weeks. We need centre backs in the squad. The only fit centre backs we have is Virgil and Konate. And we all know that the whole thing with Konate at the moment is not exactly very clear, because we don't know if he's going to renew his contract or if he's going to be sold. We are not sure of where we stand on him. So whether he decides to renew his contract, whether he gets sold, whether he decides to run down the 1 year that is left in the contract, one thing we can all agree on is that we need a centre back, because at the final quarter of this particular game, we basically played without any centre back in the squad. And this is no disrespect to Endo. Endo stepped into that centre back role. And one thing I like about Endo is whenever he's called up to perform, he gives more than 100%. He did really well today. He was very solid at the back. But we all know that Endo is not a centre back. And if we are still in this point in the season where we have opportunity to get into the market and buy players, it is only right for us to buy people, or at least someone in that centre back position. Well, like I said, we were the ones to concede the first goal, but then we had a quick equalizer coming from Florian Wirtz. This is the goal we've all been waiting for. Fuchs has been waiting for Flo to score his first goal, and yeah, that goal came. Of course, this goal doesn't really count for much, but it's a morale boost, and I'm very sure that all the fans that showed up to watch him play live are very happy to see him score for Liverpool. So he got his goal, and that goal was an equalizer. Now, we always talk about goals, but one thing I will never miss in that particular goal is the assist or the build up to that particular goal. And this is my way of recognizing the huge effort that was made by Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones played a very big part in the build up to that goal, and I think he actually got an assist. I've not gone back to check it fully, but if I'm not mistaken, it seems like the assist for that particular goal should go to Curtis, and I think he deserves it fully. So we were able to get our equalizer before the 1 hour mark. And immediately we got the equalizer, we did a couple of changes. We basically brought in new set of players. This time around, we had the likes of Elliott, Frimpong in the mix. And Frimpong is a different breed of player. I feel like many people are sleeping on Frimpong. When you come to the signings that Liverpool have made, people understand the quality and the type of player you expect from someone like Kekes. He's Premier League proven. But on the right hand side, talking about Frimpong, many people are still very doubtful about what he brings into the squad. But for me, based on what I've seen so far, this guy is solid. He is very solid in defense, and he is very rapid in attack. I'm not even joking. Whenever he touches the ball and makes that run, he basically leaves everyone behind. We saw it a couple of times today. Elliott understood the assignment. He was pinging those long passes for him, and Frimpong was outrunning everyone out there. Of course, when he makes those runs, his passes into the box are also very solid. He can also finish himself, and that is why for this particular goal, he got an assist for our second goal of the game. Now, that second goal was scored by Trey, one of the young lads. Trey, he's been very impressive in pre-season, and he finally got a goal for himself today. So for that particular goal, the assist came from Frimpong, and the next goal that followed immediately after that comes from the usual suspect, Rio. Like, we talk about him all the time, but it is not a surprise that we talk about him this much, because when you see him play, you would understand exactly why we talk about him. Some are even of the opinion that it has gotten to the point where he needs to be integrated into the senior team for Liverpool, and I won't be surprised if that becomes the case, especially with the vacancy that is created in that side of the forward line due to the exit of Luis Diaz. So it's still left for us to see what becomes of him, but I'm not very sure he would be pushed out on loan. He may have to sit back in the squad and find a couple of playing opportunities next season. Whatever becomes of that, we'll get to see it. But for today, he got his goal, and he basically walked through the defense to get that particular goal. In fact, that goal reminds me of the typical goals you get from Luis Diaz, where he has to break through defenses and then slot in a goal. That's exactly what we saw today. So that's it on this particular game. if you are looking for positive from this game, the first positive you should take away is that we got a win. That's always the first takeaway from a game of this nature. We got a win, we deserved that win, and we scored loads of goals in it, 3 goals. Then, if you're about to talk about the negatives, in the previous game that we played against AC Milan, our gaffer came out to say that he would like to work on some things. And one of the things he mentioned is the number of times we were exposed to counter-attacks. I still saw glimpses of that in today's game, and the Japanese side was able to score 1 goal from that today. But in a more competitive game, it would have been a different case altogether. So that's something that we surely need to look into. But we are not reading too seriously into that, because this is the moment for us to enjoy our win. Although there is still something notable to talk about in this particular game, and that is about the absence of Alisson Becker, our number 1 goalkeeper in the squad today. We did not get a lot of clear details about his absence, but every information we have right now is that he had to leave the squad and travel back to Brazil because of some personal issues. So we really don't know what it's about, but whatever the case may be, I hope it wouldn't be something serious. I hope Alisson is okay, and I hope his family over there in Brazil are also okay. So that's it on this particular one. We needed a win, we got that win, and of course we deserve the win. Now this is the right time to tell you guys to connect with the channel, subscribe, like, leave your comments, just stay in touch with us, because as we get into a new footballing season, there is so much we are going to be doing together, and I want all of you to be part of the journey. I want you to be part of this channel, and I want you to be part of this community. Subscribe.